A helicopter carrying a precious load flies over to the island of Arbo, Puerto Rico. Inside Benini Industries, William waits in his office for the cargo to arrive. The moment the helicopter lands, the entire facility is notified. William joins Scott and Margaret as they head toward the experimental laboratory, asking if the donor has signed the required documents. Ed also hears the announcement, grabs his things, and rushes to the lab. The donor's body is placed next to a robotic shell, prepared for the experiment. William and Ed discuss the donor's death before proceeding. Ed checks the donor's cortex activity and confirms he's still viable. William agrees and explains that the biological brain will be replicated inside a synthetic one. He instructs Ed to begin the process. The neural probe is engaged, transferring the soldier's brain. William activates the imprint, mapping the human mind onto the synthetic brain. He tells Margaret to energize the body, and the replica awakens. As it starts moving, William addresses it by name, but the subject panics, tearing itself apart until William is forced to shut it down. Afterward, William reports the progress to Jones. But Jones isn't impressed. Even though the subject spoke for the first time, he insists they need bigger results to satisfy the company's shareholders. William argues that his family has sacrificed too much for him to stop now and promises he's close to a breakthrough. Later, William drives home where his wife Mona is packing the car for a family trip. Inside, he sees their kids, Matt, Zoe, and Sophie, are not ready yet. Ed soon arrives. Ed asks William if Jones fired him, while Mona overhears part of their conversation. Ed explains that the subject ripped itself apart, but William quickly adds that it spoke. Mona, being a doctor, insists that if the subject could speak, it could also feel, and he shouldn't bring people back from the dead until his work is perfected. William claims he's on the verge of a breakthrough, but admits something prevents the synthetic from achieving true consciousness. Mona tells him they might be missing a soul, but William dismisses it as pure neurochemistry. Later, the family drives through heavy rain. They nearly hit a truck, but survive the close call. Moments later, a falling tree crashes into their car, killing Mona instantly. The vehicle plunges off a cliff into the water. William regains consciousness, only to realize he is the sole survivor. Instead of calling an ambulance, he contacts Ed. They bring lab equipment to the crash site, and William begs him for help. Though Ed insists they should call the police, he eventually agrees to assist. Together, they transfer the minds of William's wife and children into the system. At the facility, Ed warns William there's a reason human cloning has never succeeded. The results always turn out wrong. He asks William if he's prepared to terminate the process if something goes wrong. William avoids answering, determined to continue. Ed shows him the cloning pods, but William pleads for secrecy and asks Ed to dispose of the bodies. Back at William's home, they unload the equipment. But there's a problem. Only 3 pods are available, meaning he can't bring back all 4 family members. Unable to choose, William writes their names on slips of paper and draws one at random. The name he pulls is Zoe. Ed teaches William how to maintain the pods, emphasizing the importance of chemical balance and constant power supply. Since William doesn't have a generator, he connects the pods to multiple car batteries. Ed warns that the clones will take 17 days to fully form, and by then, William must restore their consciousness. When asked what will happen to Zoe, William admits he'll erase her from their memories. Later, William deletes Zoe's memory from his family's neural drives, though her consciousness remains saved on a separate hard drive. Days pass. At work, Jones questions Ed about William's absence. Ed lies, but Jones makes it clear, if they don't show progress soon, the project will be shut down. Ed warns William, reminding him the company will demand the missing equipment if discovered. William asks Ed to watch over the pods while he returns to work. At the office, Jones visits William and notices one of Zoe's drawings on his desk. Suspicious, he keeps it with him. Back at home, William encounters Matt's teacher, who has come to check on him after missing school for 5 days. Ed has already told her Matt has chickenpox, but William realizes he must cover their tracks better. That night, he confiscates all of his family's devices. Using their laptops and phones, he sends emails to the kids' schools and messages their friends, creating the illusion that they're still alive. Meanwhile, Margaret oversees repairs on the robot body, and William continues running failed simulations from home. 17 days later, the clones are nearly ready. Ed tells William they can't stay in the pods any longer because they're continuing to age. But William isn't ready. He still doesn't know why the previous experiment failed. To buy time, he sedates the clones, keeping their minds in a blank state. Ed warns this can only last 72 hours. They drain Mona's pod first, and she begins breathing on her own. William sedates her immediately, confirming the experiment works. Later, as William reviews old footage, he notices something unusual. When he touches Mona's clone, her heartbeat responds. Suddenly, it all makes sense. He explains to Ed that the brain transfer fails because the mind panics when placed in an unfamiliar synthetic body. The solution is to trick the brain into believing it's still in its own body. With his family, it should be easier since their clones are perfect replicas. They prepare to transfer Mona's mind into her clone. The upload begins, and though nothing happens at first, she soon convulses before waking up. She recognizes William before he sedates her again. Excited, William repeats the process for the children, finally preparing the house for their return. After everything is done, Ed leaves, telling William that they'll see each other at work. William returns home, cleaning the house and erasing all evidence of what happened. His final task is to remove every trace of Zoe. He packs her belongings and throws them away, determined to make it seem as if she never existed. That night, William lies in bed beside Mona. By morning, Mona is gone, but when William rushes downstairs, he finds her and the kids having breakfast as if nothing had ever happened. Mona says she feels great and decides to go for a run. The children ask for pancakes and William makes them with a smile. While jogging, Mona suddenly feels a sharp ache in her abdomen. Back home, William receives a call from Ed, telling him that a new donor is arriving at the lab. Ed warns that if William doesn't show up, their secret could be exposed. William tells his clone family he has to leave for work. They see nothing unusual, though Mona senses something off about his behavior. At the facility, William and Ed prepare the donor for transfer. But William refuses, not wanting to create another synthetic life that might suffer rejection. Ed is furious, especially with Jones pressuring them for results. William then makes a shocking decision. He transfers his own mind into a synthetic brain. Meanwhile, Mona and Sophie notice their cell phones are missing. Mona begins to feel strange, as if her memory is incomplete. Back at the lab, William tells Ed what he's done. His plan is to write an algorithm that tricks the synthetic brain into believing the artificial body is real, using his own mind as the baseline for future consciousness transfers. That night, William returns home. Mona confides that she feels something is wrong. She can't remember parts of the past few weeks. William comforts her, urging her to rest. Later, he goes to the basement, setting his consciousness drive beside Zoe's. Sophie wakes from a nightmare about her mother dying. William calms her, then secretly overwrites her memory to erase the traumatic events. Mona catches him in the act and demands the truth. William admits that he brought them all back from the dead because he couldn't bear losing them. Mona is shaken, but she understands his motive. The next day, the family meets Ed at the market. Mona nearly recalls Zoe when she sees something familiar. That night at dinner, William asks if they should move back home. Sophie suddenly remembers the name Zoe, saying it's scribbled inside her closet. One by one, the family begins recalling fragments of the lost child. Mona confronts William, but before he can explain, the doorbell rings. Jones is at the door. He greets Mona politely, then pulls William aside. Jones reveals he knows everything. He calls William's family subjects of the trial and says they belong to the company. He warns they cannot be allowed to live normal lives. William tries to negotiate by offering the algorithm, but Jones reveals the truth. The company isn't biomedical at all. It's part of the weapons industry. Jones demands the algorithm and orders William to say goodbye to his family. William pretends to comply, but secretly destroys the algorithm. He finally tells Mona the whole truth about Zoe, about the company, about everything. They flee in their car just as Jones's assassins close in. During the chase, William reveals that trackers have been implanted in their nervous systems, making it impossible to run forever. Mona has an idea. She leads the family to her clinic, where she uses a defibrillator to fry the trackers one by one. When the assassins check the signals, the family seems to vanish. They escape again, but at the marina, assassins capture Mona and the children. William is too late to save them. Inside the facility, Jones tries to force William's cooperation, even killing Ed to prove his point. With no choice, William recreates the algorithm and begins an imprinting process, secretly activating a synthetic body with his consciousness. The new robot awakens, breaks its restraints, and storms into the room just as Jones prepares to kill Mona. The machine declares it's there to protect its family. Bullets bounce off its body as it tears through the assassins. The family escapes, but William hesitates, unable to leave the robot behind. In a final confrontation, William stops the machine from killing Jones. The robot explains that the body feels like his own. Together, William and the robot strike a deal with Jones. The robot will stay behind while William escapes with his family. To secure leverage, the robot even creates a digital imprint of Jones's mind. 17 days later, a new clone of Jones emerges. Meanwhile, William, Mona, and the children enjoy a peaceful vacation at the beach, this time with Zoe, finally restored to them. But in Dubai, Jones is back in business. Only now, it's the synthetic robot, William's creation, that carries out his work, selling the technology as a weapon to the highest bidder. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. subscribe, and press the bell icon for more videos.